Hey everyone, welcome to this special edition of Heroic Nonsense. I can't believe we're at the end of 2024 already. What a year for reviews it's been, and highlights a personal milestone for me here at the channel as I complete my first full year on YouTube. I wanted to do something special as we wrap up the year, so what better way than to look back at some of my very favorite episodes and reviews from this past year. And of course, I'd love to hear your picks as well in the comments section below, either from the reviews we've done this past year on Heroic Nonsense, or just generally your all-time favorites of 2024. So with that, let's begin with number 5. Agent Knight. So a Transformer from a non-mainline series. What gives? Conceptually, I was as surprised as you were that I went this route. But here's the thing. Agent Knight is an incredible figure, way more than he had to be. He's masterpiece size, pretty much indistinguishable from a model car, has working lights and multiple voice options, and is incredibly sleek in both car and bot modes. Not to mention it comes with some fun accessories like Michael Knight's comms watch and extra big 80s sunglasses in bot mode. When you add in the fact that this is a crossover with one of my favorite 80s TV shows growing up, pairing an iconic AI car with a secret agent and mysterious agency, well then you've pretty much struck gold in my opinion. Shout out to @ElGuido1000 by the way, who recently let me know in the comment section that if you press the sound/voice activation button for a bit longer, it actually keeps the lights on for about a minute or so. My fourth pick had to go to G.I. Joe, and specifically the Cobra Ferret ATV and Scout combo, because 1. I'm a sucker for Cobra figures and vehicles, and 2. I've always loved the Ferret as a Cobra vehicle, even though I never had one from the original 118 line growing up. There's just something about this ATV that screams 80s Cobra, and I have to admit, this was one of those sets I was waiting with bated breath for since its announcement, especially since this was the first release before any of the repaints started rolling in. I'm quite aware that this set didn't hit it out of the park for everyone, but for me it was a must-have, and for not having the original, a great addition to our classified line. It also came with the Scout figure, which I do think is a very cool figure as well, especially since the Scout pairs really well with the Stinger Driver, one of my favorite figures from the original line. So anytime I can grab some more Cobra soldiers in different colors, and specifically the gray versions, I'm all in. FERAK. So there have been 3 versions using the Cyclonus mold to date, 2 of which are exactly the same mold-wise, those being the original Kingdom Cyclonus and then the Toy Accurate Colors Generation Selects version, both of which we have multiples of. So why choose FERAK for 3rd place? Well, I've been the biggest fan of Cyclonus since I first saw him back in the '86 movie, though never had the original toy, mostly because I don't think I liked the fact that the toy didn't look exactly the same as the character in the movie. That all changed with the release of Kingdom, and to this day, I still think they did an incredible job with that figure. So when FERAK was announced, I knew we had to get him, not only because he's using one of my very favorite molds, but also because the toy actually had some minor retooling and a new face painted red, which just hit all the right notes for me. Add in that the character is a space pirate and I was sold. Wasn't even a second thought. I also generally love every possible version of the Seekers, so I view Cyclonus and Scourge in the same way. The more versions of these toys in different colors, the better. Ultimately for me, it's a great mold, cool design and colors, and just overall looks awesome. Alright, so we're almost at number 1, but before we get there, let's talk about my number 2 pick, which for G.I. Joe was my number 1, and that is the classified Cobra Stinger and Driver. When I was a kid, this was the vehicle that stood out for me the most even before I had started collecting G.I. Joe. I had essentially missed the boat on the original vehicle and figure by the time I had finally started collecting, but I was definitely watching the cartoon along with Transformers as my 2 go-to shows after school. To me, this was just the coolest vehicle ever, a black off-road sleek Jeep with 4 red missiles on its back. How could a kid not love this? This was the classified vehicle I was waiting for, and boy were we happy when it finally got released this year. I mean, a 1/18 scale is awesome in and of itself, but a full-sized classified version with all the bells and whistles and that awesome gray uniformed Cobra soldier as a driver, that can't be beat. It has working shocks, big bulky rubber tires, 4 precision pointed missiles, and best of all, a perfect reproduction of the original's body sized up for classified, based off of the previous classified Vamp release. Putting that next to the HasLab Hiss, while towing the HMS missile system is just incredible to see. I can't wait to see what new versions of this mold and vehicle Hasbro has in store for us next. Okay, so the one you've all been waiting for, though I suspect most of you figured it out from the outline. Studio Series 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime. So Optimus Prime was the figure I wanted back in the day for the holidays, and I still remember standing next to my parents as they sat in the kitchen one evening and pretending to transform into Optimus for them as I expressed my hope and excitement of possibly getting him for the holidays. Suffice it to say, I got him a few days early as my parents were as excited to give it to me as I was to get him. I loved getting that toy, and that feeling has stuck with me for all those years. And then, finally, they announced Optimus Prime coming straight from the '86 movie in all his glory, with the full-size trailer including roller. This was it. This was what I was waiting for, not only for me, but for my boys, so I could share that excitement with them this year for the holidays. I absolutely love this figure. He looks incredible in both modes in proper scale and design. It honestly feels like he drove right out of the '86 movie and into our home. Although I did a sneak peek for part 1 of my review of Studio Series 86 Optimus, he is all nice and tucked away back in his sealed box ready to be given to my boys for the upcoming holidays from my parents, just like I got the original from them all those years back, along with the 40th anniversary reissue of the original. This toy was always going to be my number 1 for 2024. But what do you guys think? Anyone agree or have something else as their number 1? Let me know in the comments. For those not sure yet, part 1 of the review is linked here, so go see him for yourself and be sure to all come back for part 2 early in the new year. By the way, another shout out, this time to @Don'tCareAboutOffending and @Tap4Music for letting me know in the comment section that the 2 front flaps on Optimus's waist in bot mode do in fact move independently so that you can pose them properly when one or both legs are bent. Alright, let's end with a few honorable mentions, though I really did love all the toys I reviewed this year. Classified Mad Marauders Sergeant Slaughter. I waited to get this version of him in his Mad Marauders colors because 1, I always wanted a Sarge figure, and 2, because I totally dig his Slaughter's Marauders team. I also had a great time reviewing him, especially since I had Zazel from Zazel's Clubhouse join me for part of the review. Go check out the full review here to get a link to Zazel's channel, which is tons of fun and always has great toy related content. Studio Series 86 Swoop was also a great toy this year and almost made it into my top 5. Definitely in my top 5 for Transformers, especially since he was always my favorite from the Dinobots. I have the original G1 version, which makes an appearance in the review, and so was really excited to get the last of the Studio Series Dinobots this year in full leader class size. What a great figure with a nice, smooth, straightforward transformation. Classified HMS with Techno Viper. What a combo. One of my favorite Vipers in black and red, and a small vehicle perfect for the Stinger and his tank to pull. Just an overall fun set and looks great in displays. Plus I get to showcase the HasLab Hiss, which I technically couldn't include in this 2024 wrap up even though I reviewed it right at the beginning of January 2024. Comic Edition Straxus. I included Straxus because he actually really is a cool figure based off of another mold I really liked, that being Galvatron's. I didn't think I'd like him this much, but in person, he is actually pretty awesome for a toy and character. Plus my boys really liked him, so how could I not? And finally, Classified Raptor. I have to admit, a lot of these are from more recent reviews since I started expanding on my creative editing and technical skills, which is really adding to my enjoyment when putting together these reviews for you guys. At the same time, the original Raptor was one of my favorite character-specific Cobras, and this update for Classified is just fantastic, with his mechanical wings and great design. To be honest, I could go on and on for 2024, but then it would generally defeat the purpose of having a top 5. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and generally enjoyed this year's 2024 reviews and content on my channel. I'm really looking forward to seeing you all back in 2025 for even more exciting episodes, as there are a lot of great ones I already have planned. I'll probably do one more episode next week to wrap up this year, and then be right back here in the new year. Thank you so much for having joined me on this still somewhat new journey in 2024. I really appreciate you all. See you next week. And remember, it's all such heroic nonsense in the end.
Transform!